Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello, faithful Squiz Kids listeners, and welcome to the Kids vs. Adults Weekly News Squiz. Your chance to see who's had their listening ears on and been paying the most attention to the week that just was. I'm Bryce Corbett. All week in the Squiz Kids Today podcast, we've been bringing you the big news stories of the day, run through our kid-friendly filter to make sure you know all you need to know about the world around you. Now, it's time to test how much of the week's news you've retained, and in the process, see who's smarter, kids or adults. Plus, of course, because it's a Friday, we've got all today's birthday shout-outs and all the shout-outs for the weekend coming, including the birthday reggae tune, because it wouldn't be a Friday without it. So, here's how the quiz works. 5 questions for kids about the weekend news, then 5 questions for adults. Whoever answers the most correct questions wins. Simples. You ready? Let's do this. Alright kids, here are your 5 questions. Question number 1. We've been banging on a lot about the weather this week in the Squiz Kids News podcast. So, what is the name of the ex-tropical cyclone that is responsible for dumping a whole heap of rain on Queensland this week? Well done if you said Kirrily. It's also my sister's name. Question number 2. Earlier in the week, we told you that Japan had successfully landed their first ever spacecraft on the moon. But soon after the landing, the spacecraft had to be shut down. Why was that? Was it A, because it was hijacked by aliens? B, because it malfunctioned and was going to explode? Or C, because it landed upside down and was unable to recharge? That's right, it was C. It landed upside down. Whoops-a-daisy. Question number 3. Which author has a new comic strip book out due in May featuring a space-going chimp named Chomp? And I'll give you a hint. He has another book that features a gorilla called Gertrude and another book whose main character is a gangster granny. Yeah, of course, I'm talking about David Walliams. Question number 4. The San Francisco 49ers will be playing in American football's Game of the Year, the Super Bowl, next week. We heard in the podcast this week that the 49ers have a secret pre-game ritual. Is it A, drinking a magic potion, B, spending time with puppies, or C, going to bed early the night before the big game? Well, look, it should be C, and hopefully they do go to bed early before the big game, but the answer is in fact B, spending time with puppies. Question number 5. Last Friday, champion Olympic athlete Emma McKeon was announced as Young Australian of the Year. Can you name the sport that Emma excels in? Well done if you said swimming. How did you go, kids? How many did you get right out of 5? Do you reckon that's enough to beat the adults? Yeah, I reckon so too. Okay, adults, now it's your turn. Fire up the grey matter. Here we go. Question number 1. Which Time Person of the Year had searches for their name temporarily blocked on X this week as deepfake AI-generated images of them started to go viral? Yeah, that's right, it was Taylor Swift. Question number 2, adults. Speaking of X, another of tech gazillionaire Elon Musk's companies, Neuralink, has been the first to do what this week? Is it A, translate cats' meows to human speech, B, implant a computer chip into a human brain, or C, control a robot using only thoughts? It's A, translate cats' meows to human speech. No, it's not, but how cool would it be if it was? The answer is in fact B, implant a computer chip into a human brain. How cool. Question number 3. This one's for the tennis fans out there. Which Australian Open winner was snapped casually carrying his trophy in what appeared to be a laundry bag through security at a Dubai airport this week? Yes, it is none other than Australian Open men's singles winner Jannik Sinner. Question number 4. And here's another sporting question for you. Which international test cricket team that had its heyday back in the 80s and early 90s cleaned up the Aussies in their match at the Gabba this week? Yeah, it was of course the West Indies, and what a heart-warming win that was. Question number 5. A US underwater exploration company discovered the wreckage of a plane about 5 kilometres under the ocean's surface this week. They believe it could be the plane that was lost in an attempt to fly all the way around the world many years ago, piloted by the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. Can you name that very famous pilot? Well done if you said Amelia Earhart. How did you go, adults? How many did you get right? Did you beat the kids? Who won bragging rights this week? If you've missed any of these cool news stories throughout the week and you want to refresh your memory, all of this week's Squiz Kids episodes are available for a re-listen wherever you get your podcasts. Well, that's the end of the quiz, which means it's now time for...
Shout-outs.
It's Friday, February 2. Today is Groundhog Day in the United States, where a town in Pennsylvania watches to see whether a marmot can see its shadow when it comes out of its burrow as a sign of whether they're in for a long winter or not. Yeah, I know, pretty complicated. It's a little bit hard to explain here, so I suggest you watch the movie of the same name. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today and over the coming weekend. Happy birthday to Carter from Pitttown, Eden from Brisbane, Oliver from Perth, Ashwin from Burwood East, Tanushi from Girraween, Elizabeth from Forest Lake, Bethany from Townsville, Sam from Cannon Hill, and Jamal, who's listening all the way over there in Zimbabwe. And don't forget, Classroom Shoutouts, my friends, will be back next week. Well, that's all we have time for. I hope you're enjoying these quizzes. Don't forget, there'll be a new one dropping first thing every Friday morning. And the best bit, they're absolutely free. Just as all our other excellent content is also free. We're talking a Squiz Kids Today news podcast on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, a Squiz Kids shortcut or a Squiz the World every Tuesday. Check it all out at squizkids.com.au or simply subscribe to Squiz Kids in your favourite podcasting app and all this groovy content will magically appear. For now though, this is Bryce Corbett signing off and reminding you all to get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.